What's up guys, Rich here, this is Brick Scene. Man, it feels like so long since these sets were announced, but they're finally here, we finally got our hands on them. First thing I'm going to review is that Imperial light cruiser. So here it is, the Imperial light cruiser, Moff Gideon's light cruiser as we know it, set number 75315, 10 plus set, 1,336 pieces. It's going to set you back 160 US dollars, 150 Great British pounds. Down here in New Zealand it's going to cost you about 300 New Zealand dollars. So these sets were meant to be released on August 1st. It would seem that everyone down here in New Zealand has broken that embargo. They're all on the shelves 2 or 3 days ahead of time. We do have the other sets there, but first of all we are going to look at this cruiser. It is of course a class 546 cruiser, or Moff Gideon's cruiser. It is a particular one, not to be confused with the Arqueton's class command cruiser that were featured throughout Rebels of course. Despite looking a lot like it, it is actually quite a different ship. Now the model itself, it is a very sturdy model, great shape. They've managed to get the shape down really well. It's a little bit more blocky in places in comparison to say the First Order Star Destroyer, the Imperial Star Destroyer from a few years ago as well, but of course it is a very different shape. It's on a different scale as well, because this thing would obviously be a lot smaller than those Star Destroyers. But I like the shape. I think they've managed to capture the shape really well. The greebling along the side as well looks awesome. I think it's simple but very effective. Now if we have a look around it, they've got those subtle shapes, those angles going on. Like I said as well, it's a very sturdy model. You can pick it up, you can move it around, nothing's going to fall off anytime soon. But yeah, fairly nicely designed model. I have absolutely no problems about it at all. You've got those cannons along the side there, and you've got those massive turbo lasers on the top as well. So look, they've captured all the details as well as can be. I don't think there's anything majorly missing there at all, but a nice shape. Probably quite a hard one to design, to be fair, given that forked or that pronged front to it as well. It should be noted that from about halfway back, it's pretty much all structure, and it gets quite thin in there, so it would be kind of hard to incorporate any play features at the rear end of the ship. But it's very easy to pick up, very easy to swoosh around. I've had no problems with any pieces falling off at all. Now if we get in close and have a look at some of that greebling, now as I said, it's simple but very effective, and it's going to be on a different scale to some of these Star Destroyers that we have seen as well. So to include all that greebling and those cannons on the side, you can also get a sense of scale as well when you see those little TIE fighters tucked in at the back there. They are of course part of a play feature as well, which we'll come on to in just a second. If we come around to the engines at the back as well, again, really nice design. Those 3 engines there. They probably could have done a little bit more to get rid of those anti-studs at the back, but I have no complaints with the shape and how they've been put together and the level of detail they put on there. Very sturdy, not going to fall off or anything like that. They're actually held on in a couple of places as well, so definitely no chance of them falling off. Now if we come through into the bridge area, this is one of my little gripes. There's no handle incorporated into the set at all, but you actually hold onto the bridge itself. So the bridge is actually Technic with panels put onto the side there. Now with those Technic lift arms that they have used, you do get a bit of flex in there. So that would probably be my only gripe as far as the sturdiness of it goes. Nothing feels like it's going to fall off at all of course, but it does have a little bit of movement in there as well. A little bit more than I'd like. But then again, you know, those handles probably, you know, have the same amount of movement as well. So look, no major loss or gain there at all. But with the bridge being right in the middle as well, it's nice and easy to grab. It's well balanced, very easy to play with and swish around and fly around, etc. Something else that should be noted is there's hardly any gaps as well. That was probably one of my complaints with the older Star Destroyers, is that there was quite a few gaps in there and you could see into the ship. This one, they've managed to get rid of quite a few of those gaps. Apart from the gap at the front there, that was probably something that they couldn't avoid, given that there is a play function incorporated in there. So if we open it up and we have a look inside, it is really just one room that we've got there. There's a few stickers being used and they're all in here. Apart from those details around the windows around the bridge, all the rest of the stickers are inside. And we've got different sort of panels there for, you know, the screens and buttons, etc. As well as that design on the table in the center there with that mug on there. Also in the interior here, we've got a couple of crates. One of them houses a couple of thermal detonators, the other one a pair of binoculars. And you can also see that little bit at the front there as well. That's part of the play function that shoots out the TIE fighters. Now, if we come on to the play functions, look, I think this probably could have been left out and no one would have really cared, but that's a nice little feature. You can shoot those TIE fighters out the front. They don't really go that far, and I dare say with little kids, probably a little bit less strength than us adults, they probably wouldn't be shooting them that far at all. So it's neither here or there for me. I'm not really bothered. I wouldn't really miss it if it was there, but hey, they've added it and it's kind of cool. And of course it means you can recreate that scene from The Mandalorian where those TIE fighters come flying out the front. We also have a couple of spring-loaded missiles on the top there as ammunition for those turbo lasers. Other than that, there's not really any other play features. It's quite simple. You know, and for that price, I don't know if I would have expected maybe more play features. Again, coming back to that rear section, they probably couldn't have added anything in there. It might have been nice to have another spot to put a minifig or something like that in there, but they haven't really provided any minifigs that would be a pilot or an officer or something like that, or any other part of the crew. One thing I probably would have quite liked to have seen in the interior is those pods, or whatever you want to call them, where the Dark Troopers were all stationed before being let loose on the world. That would have been kind of cool, but only getting one Dark Trooper, we'll come back to that in a second as well, kind of meant that that's probably never going to happen anyway. But overall, I am happy with the cruiser. I think it's a great shape. I think it's very sturdy. I think that the play features are okay. A couple of small little gripes like I've mentioned, but nothing major at all. Other than the two play features, of course, there's not anything else going on with it. But, you know, as a collector, I'm only really going to display this anyway, and probably without those spring-loaded shooters too. Well, let's get on to the minifigs. There are 6 in total. We've got 3 all new minifigs, which is good. But we'll start with the Mandalorian himself, Din Djarin. We've already received this minifig, of course, in that Trouble on Tatooine set. Look, he's a good-looking minifig, let's be honest. The printing on it is great, the arm printing, all that Beskar armor. We don't have a pistol this time. We've got his Beskar spear thing. One thing that sort of caught my eye, though, is that we've still got his rifle there. I don't recall him having the rifle in the scene where he's in Moff Gideon's cruiser. By that point, the Razor Crest was already well gone, and I'm pretty sure his rifle was still in the Razor Crest at the time. So to include that rifle, you know, I'm being picky though. I'm being very, very picky. Personally, I probably would have included maybe a pistol and that spear, and I would have been happy with that. I would have been really, really happy with that. But no, a very, very nice minifig. Next up, we've got Grogu. Now, we've had this minifig before, of course. It's the same printing, the same design, using that little baby piece. There's not really much more they could do to him. You know, so it could have been omitted from the set and I probably wouldn't have cared. But he's there and he looks alright. Next up, we've got Cara Dune, and again, we've had this minifig before. It came in the AT-ST Raider. Some great printing on this minifig. I do really, really like this one. She comes with that big, long blaster, and we've got printing on the back, and of course, an alternate face as well. The inclusion of Cara Dune probably wasn't necessary. It's taken all the value out of that minifig that came with the AT-ST Raider, of course, but I believe she probably could have been omitted in place of another minifig. So look, let's get on to the new ones. Next up is Fennec Shand. Now, Fennec's printing is amazing. I really, really like this minifig. They've gone to town on the printing from the torso right through the hips into the legs and on the arms as well. She also comes with that really long blaster, which is of course correct to her, and then that bright orange helmet with the slit in the visor there as well. It's not dual molded, it's a single mold with that black bit across the front being painted. She also comes with an alternate face. The problem with this minifig is that she doesn't come with any hair, so you can't really see the faces either way because you're going to have the helmet on or she's going to be bald. So kind of a waste of time putting an extra face on the back there because it doesn't really change the eyes in any way at all, which is all you can see through that slit on the helmet there. But look, altogether a very, very nice minifig. I'm really, really happy to get her in this set. Next up is Moff Gideon. Now, I think this minifig is good. I think it's quite a nice minifig. There's some nice printing on that torso. The face looks okay. The hair looks okay. It all looks right. There's no printing on the legs, which I'm not overly concerned about. The cape looks good as well, with that, you know, the black on one side and that dark red on the inside as well. If I'm going to be picky though, I probably would have picked a different blade for that Darksaber. There are different types of blades that could have quite easily been put in there, and it definitely would have been more accurate. Not sure why they haven't done that, but look, it is what it is. It is what it is. It's not perfect, and I'm nitpicking, I know, but there is room for improvement there. Which brings me on to the one that we were probably almost excited about, and that is the Dark Trooper. Look, it was probably going to be quite hard to come up with a design that everyone was going to be happy with when it comes to this Dark Trooper, but I think what they've done is okay. They've added that shoulder armor on there to give it sort of a bit of a different look. The helmet looks great, the printing on the head underneath looks great. Again, kind of a waste of time having too much printing underneath that helmet because they don't really remove the helmet. So just some red across the front probably would have been okay, and maybe some of that printing around the back of the head as well, which they have included. Some nice printing on the front of that torso and on the back as well. There's no printing on the hips, but it does carry on down into the legs. It comes with that medium gunmetal grey blaster as well. So look, altogether a great selection of minifigs. I think that, you know, I'm quite happy with these minifigs, of course, including some that we've already had in other sets, as well as 3 altogether new ones. 3 new ones as well that we were actually pretty keen on getting. But in conclusion, I think this set is awesome. I am super happy with it. The price point may be slightly on the high side, but down here in New Zealand anyway, we can get these sets usually on a 20% discount. So that brings it down to about 140 maybe US dollars, 130 pounds, which definitely makes it a little bit more palatable. So overall, I think it's a worthy purchase. You know, 6 minifigs, a great, you know, robust, sturdy model as well. Absolutely no complaints with the way it's been put together or the shape of it, the details that they've come up with. They maybe could have added another play feature in there somewhere, or maybe a bit more detail to the interior. But overall, no major qualms with it at all. So thank you very much for checking out my review. I'm going to get on to building these other sets that I've got sitting right here. I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.